Chapter 7 starts with our characters right in the thick of it. Akira is crouching down after unloading on those men. He says, "Alpha, how many are left?" Alpha replies with 3 deceased, so only 5 left. And she tells him, "Akira, we need to move." And without any hesitation, Akira starts booking it down the hallway. Alpha tells them, "We'll keep on shooting at them from the outside of their searching range." Akira slides into position, and Alpha tells him it's really hard for them to find you under the colorless mist. Moreover, if you shoot from the places where I direct you, they won't be able to spot you. 2 hunters are taking cover from Akira's fire, and Alpha tells them, "So you can keep shooting at them while being hidden from them." And one of the hunters says, "Damn it, where is this guy shooting from?" And for some reason, he screams, "Come out," like that's going to do anything and anyone's going to, comply to that. But as he's shouting, we see a crosshair trained on his head. And just like that, splat, his blood and his brain and everything else is painting the wall he was prepped up against. As his lifeless corpse slides down his cover, his friend starts to scream out in fear. And like a machine, Akira books it upstairs now to change positions. Alpha giving him orders, telling him, "Keep following all of my orders and assume that you'll definitely be deceased if they find you. If you do that, I'm sure you can win this." We cut back to Sarah and Amelia. They're both taking cover in an abandoned building. Akira's gaze grows cold as he aims down the sights and says, "Alpha, where should I shoot next?" But he gets no reply and says, "Alpha? You've been in a bad mood for a while. Do you really hate it that much because I'm helping those girls?" Alpha says, "Not really. I think helping people is a good thing to do. But..." And Akira answers back, "But?" And Alpha lays in on him. "You agreed to take on my request, and you're not that strong yet, so it'll be troublesome if you are deceased before you can complete my request. So, putting yourself in danger for total strangers that you've never met with or talked before, I'm just wondering, is that really something you should do or not? It'll be troublesome if you are deceased. Haven't I told you so before?" And Akira sheepishly answers back, "Yes?" A little ashamed and dejected, he looks down and thinks, Alpha support is an upfront payment after all, so if I am deceased, it'll be the same as me running away from my responsibility with the upfront payment. Alpha says, "Well, that aside, let's finish this before the colorless mist clears up." We get a shot of Akira's handiwork, bodies strewn across the land. Akira says, "Was that the last one?" And Alpha says, "Yep." Akira, a little sad, says, "I'm sorry for making you help me. Let's go back home." But Alpha asks, "Before we go back, can you at least tell me why you suddenly decided to help those girls? Why did you suddenly do that?" Akira gives her no reply, but, scratching his head, he finally gives one and says, "If those people are around, they might attack me one day, right? So it's like, isn't it better to have them deceased now? And also, you did say that I used up all my luck, right? Something like that. I used all of my life's worth when I met you. So I thought I might regain some of my luck by helping those girls out." Alpha says, "Alright then, let's go back now." And Akira agrees. They start to head back, but Alpha has a cold glare on her face. She knows those were just excuses. And she thinks to herself, when I told him that those girls were going to get attacked by a monster, he didn't show any interest at all. But his behavior changed 180 degrees when I told him about those men. In short, he made those excuses so that he has a reason to take those men out. He didn't take those men out to save those girls, but he saved those girls in order to take those men out. And she realizes that he has a strong hatred, and that she has to avoid getting him pointing that hatred towards her, no matter what. And we're back to Elena and Sarah. Elena is checking out and seeing what's happening. She says the shootout has died down. Is it finished? And she goes to Sarah and asks, "How are you, Sarah?" And thanks to the nanomachines, her wounds are healing and are already closed, but she can't move yet. Elena steels herself and makes a run for the outside, saying, "I'll be back soon." Alpha notices that one of the girls that Akira saved is running towards their direction. Akira looks up and says, "Can I outrun her?" Alpha says that she's on the other side of the wall that he's right behind, and that she'll catch up with them even if they run. Akira then crouches down and starts to write something. It says, "Don't come over here." and Alpha comments, "You should work on your handwriting next." He then wraps the paper around a bullet and chucks it over the wall. Elena catches it and picks it up, and she reads the letter that says, "Don't come over here." And she thinks to herself, a bullet and a piece of paper? Is this bullet the only way the paper down, or is it a warning? But either way, Elena shouts back to him, "You're the one who saved us, right? Thank you. I'm sorry, but can you please help us out a bit? My friend got shot and can't move right now." At first, she gets no reply, and then something is thrown over the wall. It's a healing medicine, and she says, "Is he telling me to use this?" Akira and Alpha then head out. It looks like the medicine she received was the real deal, because Sarah is finally back on her feet. Elena thinks, that was pretty powerful medicine. Who in the world would just give me something like that? And those two start to leave. She thinks, I don't know who you are, but I'll definitely say my thanks to you one day. A few days have passed, and we're back in the city. We hear someone say, this will be your 10th time exchanging relics here. And it's the man behind the counter talking to Akira. And he says, am I right, Ajira? Akira corrects him and says, my name is Akira. The man says, oh, so the name on your hunter ID is wrong, huh? Just so you know, the day when you can fix this has come. Akira says, what do you mean? And the man behind the counter slides Akira some items. And he says, here's a map and a card. You just have to go through some registration process over there, but you need to show this card to the staff. He continues to say, but again, you're finally there, huh? Akira says, what are you talking about? And the man says, well, just be well out there, okay? And Akira questioningly says, yeah? Akira follows the map to find it leads to a giant building. The building is integrated into the defensive wall and is the checkpoint that connects and manages the economy between the inner and outer wall. In short, it's an important building for the city to function. Alpha says, this is the hunter's office. Akira says, this place is another hunter's office, huh? It's completely different from the hunter's office I know. Alpha says, that one you used to visit was a branch of the office. Alpha continues, the hunters in this office are on a different level to the hunters who visit the branch office. Powerful, augmented suits, hunters who use nanomachines to enhance their bodies. Some of them modify their body with organic or mechanical organs. Can I get a second to talk about the art in this manga? It is beautiful. Even these background characters have a ton of detail to their armors and all that, especially this woman in the front. I love how everything latches in together. That, I don't know why, but that activates the little neuron in my brain. But back to the story. Alpha goes on. They've explored extremely dangerous ruins and returned back alive so many times in the past. They are hunters who have enough power to do such things. Akira approaches the giant counter at the office and says, I was told to show you this. The beautiful young woman behind the counter says, I've confirmed it. Are you Ajira? He says, yes. Wait, no, my name is Akira. The guy who registered my name got it wrong. I'm sorry for the mistake. He's over here blaming his mistake on somebody else. And the woman behind the counter says, well then, Akira. First of all, congratulations for your promotion to a 10th rank hunter. Akira, wide-eyed and surprised, says, rank 10 hunter? Alpha says, you were finally able to move up from being a self-proclaimed hunter into a real hunter now. Akira says, wait, I wasn't a real hunter? Huh? Alpha says, unfortunately, no. Akira says, well, they're speaking telepathically. He says, but still, did I do something that warrants me getting this promotion? Alpha says, you're rated by the relics that you exchange, you know. A high-ranked hunter can buy equipment that a low-ranked hunter normally cannot buy. You might even take a request with a high level of confidentiality. It's basically a position with a lot of special benefits. The woman behind the counter then reappears and says, since we fixed your registered name, please tell me if your name is correct one more time. He says it's Akira. She says, Akira, today's registration will change your registered data from temporary to a real registration. The information entered today will be added as addendum information, and that the name registered in your Hunter ID will be the name used formerly to identify yourself as an individual. It might be understood as the name to identify anything that you're related with, such as your family, land, country, class, etc., etc. With that in mind, are you sure you want to change it to just Akira? Akira then starts to reminisce. I have always been alone. I have no family, or even a memory of having one. The only thing I have is only my name. Even no one is using that to call me. Wait, there is one, huh? He starts to think about Alpha. And he says, my name is Akira. Akira finally finishes his registration and leaves the building. As they walk down the steps of the building, Alpha asks Akira, so how does it feel now that you're ranked 10? He says it doesn't feel real to me yet. After all, it only happened thanks to your support. And she says, that's right. It only happened because of my support. Akira raises his new ID in the air and says, but this hunter ID is a big step forward for me, who had nothing to identify myself with up until now. Alpha happily says, that's great, Akira. They end up buying a tablet because it's an essential tool for hunters. Alpha's even able to put herself in the tablet, and we learn why the tablet is an essential tool for hunters. Alpha explains, now then, you asked me why this is an essential tool. It's because hunters use a terminal to collect and exchange and share and even buy and sell information about ruins and monsters. Sometimes the corporation or the hunter's office will also send their requests through the terminal. You can even download a map of the ruin from the network. Akira starts to get overwhelmed and says, wait, don't flood me with information like that. Moreover, I spent a lot of money to get this information terminal. Is it really okay? Alpha says, it's not. That's why we'll head to a ruin tomorrow. With a smile on her face, Alpha says, and since your shooting ability has gotten much better, I'll add more training to the menu tomorrow. A look of shock comes across Akira's face, and Alpha continues, to be more precise, I'll have you learn how to move around without my support. Akira is even more shocked, and Alpha continues, so try to think that I won't be around with you tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, and Akira is outside of a ruin crouching down. He whips out his binoculars to take a look. He's checking the situation with his binoculars, and it seems like it's okay and there are no monsters around. But he thinks to himself, although I've gone through this road many times, but without Alpha's support, it feels different from usual. Akira continues thinking to himself, check my map for information on my terminal, and then pick the safest route. Akira starts to sprint with his weapon raised. He finds cover and thinks, damn it, it's been an hour, and I've hardly made any progress yet. Ruined buildings and wreckages, this place is filled with dangerous things. If someone hides in a place that I fail to check, my life would end there. Looks like training is over, because Akira and Alpha head back to the city. Alpha says, you did well today, Akira. Exploring will be easier once you get all the needed equipment, so let's get better through hard work. Akira thinks to himself, it seems that I've been spoiled by Alpha's support without even realizing it. Alpha's support is really amazing, but I can't just keep relying on it. Akira says, that aside, Alpha, I feel like we've got more relics than usual today. Alpha says, now that you're a real hunter, I decided we'll get more relics for today, you see. We'll keep increasing the amount of relics bit by bit from now on. Akira says, I see. It seems that it's worth all the hard work getting up from the 10th rank. They continue through the slums, and Alpha lets Akira know, Akira, we're surrounded. Akira's face then fills with rage. Alpha says, we need to reposition ourselves now. Akira then makes a sprint for it. We see their pursuers. It's a whole group of men, all chasing him, shouting, he went this way, surround him, don't let him get away. Alpha tells Akira, looking from their numbers, it seems like they're from a slum city gang. Akira says, damn, the gang this time? As I thought, I really have no luck left, huh? Alpha says, it seems that the rumor about a small boy who returns from the ruins with relics has piqued their interest. Akira says, so for them, I look like a wallet that someone dropped in the middle of the road, huh? I have to get rid of that image as soon as possible, and he lets some bullets fly. Alpha puts a finger to her face and has a smirk and says, you're right. In that case, you need to show them that it isn't worth attacking you. Let's take them out one by one, starting with the armed ones. Akira says, can I do it? Alpha says, of course you can, as long as you have my support. But if things go bad, you have to obey everything I say, okay? Akira says, alright, I don't want to be deceased after all. As Akira aims down his gun, he says, for some reason, although I'm a hunter, now I feel like I've only been taking out humans. I thought hunters took out monsters, you know? Alpha says, while Akira's bullet removes a hunter's head from, well, his head, Since they tried to kill you without any good reason, I don't think that they're different from those monsters you know. And Akira's bullets find their mark, tearing through his enemies' heads like nothing, their bodies flying backwards. The other gang members, with shock and awe painted across their face, say, "He knows how we move? What the heck is going on? What the heck is with that boy? The rumor said he's just a boy, right?" And one of the hunters says, "Stop, kid!" And he's cut off as Akira makes his face much more pretty by removing, well, his face off. But as we see that gruesome sight, a young girl pops up from behind and has a look of shock across her face. She tries to make a run for it and sees another gruesome sight. Another bullet finds its mark. She tries to make a run down the alley, but it's too late. Akira circled around and now has his gun pointed to her. But he doesn't look like Akira anymore. He looks like death itself. And that was chapter 7 of Rebuild World. Thank you for making it to the end of the video, and could you please do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe. It'll really help the channel out and help it grow. Velvet out.